What's up, CoinOPS fans? Pixel Freak here. I am sitting in front of my Steam Deck. I want to bring something to your attention here. This is an internal alpha at this point, but the devs, especially Inigo Montoya, and then BP's also been helping as well, of course, and everybody over there, the CoinOPS team, I've been provided with an internal alpha version of an Arise build. They're porting it on over with the recent release of the Steam machine and my favorite that I've always had for a long time, my Steam Deck, which goes everywhere with me. I got tired of trying to make all this work in Proton, and they decided that they're going to start working on native Arch Linux compilations. So Inigo has gotten a good flatpak going with the latest Retrofe, with all of their updated code-based changes and all the options that have been imported into or brought into the CoinOPS world over the last couple of years, and recompiled MAME version 2.85, I think it is, including one of my favorites, Hypseus Singe emulator, so that at least 4 of the good Laserdisc ports can be included. That's Dragon's Lair 2, Space Ace, known as the Bluth Trilogy, and then also my personal favorite, Cliffhanger. They were all redone by a user, Maximilium, over there on the Hypseus Singe Discord. He made those games look amazingly good. Now, they're not the true Daphne emulation ROMs, in my opinion. They're a little bit better. Anyway, and that's also Hypseus Singe. I want to give credit out to everybody that's involved in developing all the different parts here. That's DirtBagXon. So, without much ado, if you see this original early build here is full of all the wonderful tips and all the wonderful bells and whistles that are used to in a CoinOPS build. I'm using my Steam controller here, which again, not to the point where I'm going to start modifying controls, but there's so much more you can do with the back paddles, etc., and the internal gyro and the trackpads. I think it's really going to open up some possibilities, very unique to the Steam builds here. But with that, I want to point out that, let's see here, all of the regular playlists you're used to seeing. Let's go to the all games here. Right now, this macro build is about 283. The MAME games are coming through just fine. There's probably at this point some compatibility issues with Model 2 and 3 games being worked on, but it's absolutely fabulous. You see here, this is a standard Legends theme with the crossfade, and then the up and down playlists that scroll across. Okay, it's also got your favorites, your last played. I really like the new last played. If you look in the bottom left there, the last played icon, or the metadata, I guess you will, in the theme. I like that it shows that, oh, this is included in your last played. But if you go to the favorites, of course, it's got the heart for anything that's in your favorites. And then you can tell, of course, in the all category, the heart is empty for when they're not favorited, but when they are, it will go red. If you look in the bottom right, of course, you got manufacturer, year, and then controls. All right. Important metadata that it's just absolutely fabulous in this build. All working, of course, being ported over to the Steam OS. Even Inigo's music player, if you look there, you got the volume, you got the left and right. See in the bottom right, you've got the title of the music playing in the background. Left and right will change, right? I've even got mine set up so that right-clicking the thumbstick, or clicking the right thumbstick, will pause the music. I've got some music on there. Of course, you'd have some awesome 80s, 90s music, typical playlist that you usually find with these builds. I swapped it out because I got tired of YouTube doing its thing with the copyright stuff. So again, I want to make sure that all credit to Carl Casey, and I believe it's at Whitebat, for providing this copyright-free music, as long as I credit him. And I think I'm supposed to put something in the text as well. So thank you so much. He's got some really cool 80s retro synth, a catalog that is completely available. But let's go into a game. I want to show you what is very interesting here. In fact, let's go to, I know this is Philly and one of our favorites here. Something as simple as Bubble Bobble, right? If you notice, everything's working. The glass effects, so you have the scuffed glass. If you look there, you've got the full bezel, and notice it's in nighttime mode. Watch this. Click the right thumbstick, daytime. Left side. Okay. See that? Just a nice feature that's also been included. I prefer to play like this. Of course, on a Steam Deck, you've already got your controls around it, so this as the screen makes the most sense as far as a theme. I'm sure that there will be work later on for theme support, but that's not the primary focus, of course. Going through and having boot tested all of these games to make sure that everything is working was a priority. Working on controls now, working on potentially, I call it Retroarch because that's the way it's spelled, but I believe that's also going to be a focus here, making sure that console games to some extent for what the Steam Deck can handle might be included. But again, just a fact that these are, this build is working natively in Linux, and it's not a complete OS install like some of the other Linux offerings through CoinOPS, where you had to format the hard drive and it was simply running from boot a complete build. This is something that you install as a flatpak and then have the, you then bring over the build and you set it all up. I don't know. I know that Inigo likes to do things in an elegant manner. I don't know if he's going to have it completely automated, but right now you install the flatpak, bring over the assets, and then link the two, and it's working great. As you can look at how smooth this is. All natively on the Steam Deck here, which we know is not the most powerful processor, but it can handle all of this. If you see up there in the Steam overlay in the top left of the window, it's pegged 60. I mean, it's just running at 60. It's limited there and it never dips below, and it can really scream. Going through all the playlists as well, right? Yeah, I'm just trying to point out the metadata and everything that's actually working here. No corners have been cut so far, and it's working fantastically. Let's see here. Even some of the, let's see, yeah, the buttons, the bumpers work. Let's go to Afterburner. The reason I want to see if this has a special bezel. It's an active bezel. Yep, it's actually working. Look at that. I believe Spy Hunter also has an active bezel. Stuff that's just brought over that, yes, it still works. So, folks, join the Discord, join the discussion, and hopefully we'll see something being released in the future regarding the Steam OS, but so far it's looking really, really good. All right, game on.